Are you dead yet? You survived. Congratulations. But let me tell you something that might blow your mind. You've probably almost died more times than you can count, and you were completely clueless about it. I'm talking about those everyday moments when death literally knocked on your door, but you were too busy being, well, you, to notice. Today we're diving into the most ridiculous ways you've almost shuffled off this mortal coil without having a clue. And before you start thinking this is some dramatic clickbait nonsense, trust me, science backs every single one of these up. So grab your favorite snack, but maybe chew it properly this time, and let's explore the times you almost became a statistic. Number 6. The silent sneeze assassin. Picture this. You're sitting in the library during finals week, surrounded by stressed students who look like they haven't slept since the Stone Age. The silence is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Everyone's pretending to study while actually scrolling through their phones, when suddenly, oh no, you feel it coming. That familiar tickle in your nose, the pressure building. A sneeze of epic proportions is about to erupt, and you're about to become the most hated person in a 50-foot radius. So what do? You channel your inner ninja and attempt the impossible, the silent sneeze. You pinch your nose, clamp your mouth shut, and try to contain what's basically a small explosion happening inside your skull. Your eyes water, your ears pop, and for a brief moment, you're convinced your brain just rattled around like a marble in a jar. But hey, at least nobody noticed, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Literally. Here's what you didn't know. You just played Russian roulette with your own head. When you hold in a sneeze, you're creating pressure that can reach up to 5 psi. That's enough to rupture your eardrums, burst blood vessels in your eyes, or even cause what doctors call a pharyngeal rupture. Fancy words for your throat basically explodes. There's actually a documented case of a 34-year-old man who held in a sneeze so hard he ruptured his throat and ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks. 2 weeks! All because he didn't want to disturb people around him. Talk about taking politeness to a deadly extreme. And here's the kicker. Sneezes can travel up to 100 miles per hour. That's faster than most people drive on the highway. You're essentially trying to contain a biological hurricane with your fingers. How's that working out for you? So next time you feel that familiar tickle, just let it rip. Sure, people might give you dirty looks, but at least you won't accidentally blow out your eardrums. Because let's be real, temporary embarrassment beats permanent hearing damage every single time. Question for you. Have you ever held in a sneeze so hard you saw stars? Drop a comment and tell me about your closest call with the sneeze reaper. I bet some of you have stories that'll make the rest of us feel better about our own near-death experiences. Number 5, the water betrayal. We need to talk about water. You know that stuff that's supposed to keep you alive? Well, plot twist. Sometimes it tries to kill you instead. And I'm not talking about drowning in a pool or getting caught in a tsunami. I'm talking about the most embarrassing way water can turn on you. Choking on it while you're just sitting there minding your own business. You're lounging on your couch, probably watching TikTok videos about cats doing human things, when you decide to take a sip of water. Simple, right? You've been drinking liquids your entire life. You're basically a professional at this point. But suddenly, your throat decides to have an identity crisis. Instead of the water going down the correct pipe like it's supposed to, it takes a wrong turn and heads straight for your lungs. Now you're coughing like you're auditioning for a tuberculosis awareness campaign, your eyes are streaming tears, and you're making sounds that would make a dying walrus proud. Your body goes into full panic mode. You're gasping, wheezing, and probably looking like you're having some sort of breakdown. Meanwhile, your brain is screaming, "This is it! This is how I die. Death by H2O. They're going to put killed by water on my tombstone." But here's the science behind your aquatic assassination attempt. It's called aspiration. and it happens when liquids slip into your trachea instead of your esophagus. Your windpipe, you know, that tube that's supposed to carry air to your lungs, suddenly becomes a water park that nobody asked for. Most of the time, your cough reflex saves you. It's like having a bouncer at the club of your respiratory system, kicking out unwanted liquid guests. But sometimes, especially if you're elderly, have neurological conditions, or are just having a really bad day, that water can block your airway completely. There are people who've actually died from aspirating water. Not from drowning in a lake or ocean, but from a simple glass of water going down the wrong pipe. It's called dry drowning or secondary drowning, and it's as terrifying as it sounds. So the next time you're casually sipping water while scrolling through your phone, remember that innocent H2O is judging you, waiting for the perfect moment to stage a coup. Maybe pay attention to what you're drinking instead of getting distracted by whatever viral dance is trending this week. Tell me in the comments, what's the weirdest thing you've ever choked on? And please keep it family friendly. This is about near-death experiences, not your questionable life choices. Number 4, the great stand-up disaster. Let's talk about one of the most common ways you almost die without realizing it. The classic stand up too fast and almost faint maneuver. You know exactly what I'm talking about because you've done it more times than you can count. You've been binge watching your favorite series for approximately 47 hours straight. You're basically one with the couch at this point. Your body has forgotten what vertical feels like. Then suddenly, the doorbell rings. Could it be the pizza you ordered during episode 12? Or maybe it's the Chinese food you forgot you ordered during episode 23? You spring up like a jack-in-the-box ready to claim your feast, but instead of gracefully walking to the door, your vision decides to go on vacation. Everything turns black. Stars explode behind your eyelids like a low-budget fireworks show, and your legs suddenly have the structural integrity of overcooked spaghetti. You're standing there, swaying like a tree in a hurricane, probably looking like you're having some sort of spiritual awakening. Your brain is basically screaming system error, while your body tries to figure out what the hell just happened. Most people laugh it off. "Oh, I just stood up too fast," they say, as if it's the most normal thing in the world. But here's what's actually happening inside your body. You just experienced orthostatic hypotension, which is a fancy way of saying your blood pressure dropped faster than your motivation on a Monday morning. When you're lying down or sitting for extended periods, your blood gets comfortable. It's just hanging out in your lower extremities, probably gossiping with your leg muscles about how lazy you've become. But when you suddenly stand up, gravity pulls that blood away from your brain faster than you can say pizza delivery. Your brain needs oxygen to function. Revolutionary concept, I know. And when it doesn't get enough, it starts shutting down non-essential functions. First goes your vision, then your balance, and if you're really unlucky, consciousness itself. People have actually died from this, not from the blood pressure drop itself, but from what happens when you faint. You could hit your head on a table, fall downstairs, or crash into something sharp. There are documented cases of people dying from head injuries caused by fainting after standing up too quickly. The elderly are particularly at risk, but young people aren't immune. There's actually a condition called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, that makes this happen regularly. Imagine almost fainting every time you stand up. That's someone's daily reality. So next time you're about to leap off the couch like a caffeinated gazelle, maybe take a moment. Stand up slowly, let your blood figure out where it's supposed to go, and avoid becoming a casualty of your own enthusiasm for food delivery. Have you ever fainted from standing up too fast? What's the most embarrassing place it's happened to you? Share your stories. Misery loves company, and I'm sure we all have tales of nearly dying while trying to answer the door. Number 3, the raw food roulette. Let's have a serious conversation about your relationship with food safety. And by serious, I mean let's talk about all the times you've basically played Russian roulette with bacteria and somehow survived to tell the tale. You know the scenario. It's 2 a.m., you're starving, and your fridge looks like a crime scene. There's some leftover sushi from 3 days ago, chicken nuggets that may or may not be cooked through, and what might be eggs but could also be some sort of science experiment at this point. Your stomach is making sounds that could be mistaken for a dying whale, and you're faced with a choice. Cook something properly like a responsible adult, or just eat whatever's there and hope for the best. And because you're you choose option B. You grab that questionable chicken, take a bite while it's still cold, and think, what's the worst that could happen? Well, buckle up because I'm about to tell you exactly what the worst that could happen is. That innocent-looking piece of raw or undercooked meat is like a microscopic nightclub for bacteria. Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, they're all having a party in there, and you just sent them a first-class ticket to your digestive system. These aren't just bacteria that'll give you a mild stomachache. These are the kind of microorganisms that can put you in the hospital. Salmonella alone affects about 1.35 million people in the U.S. every year. That's more people than live in some entire states. And it's not just a case of feeling a bit queasy. We're talking about violent vomiting, explosive diarrhea, high fever, and dehydration that can be life-threatening. E. coli is even worse. Some strains can cause kidney failure, especially in children and elderly people. There have been cases where people have died from eating contaminated food, not from some exotic delicacy or weird foreign cuisine, from regular food that wasn't handled properly. But here's what's really crazy. Most of the time, you get away with it. Your stomach acid is like a biological bouncer, tough enough to kill most invaders. Your immune system is constantly working overtime to protect you from your own poor life choices. You eat that sketchy chicken, nothing happens, and you think you're invincible. This false sense of security is what makes raw food so dangerous. You've gotten away with it before, so you'll probably get away with it again, right? Wrong. It's like playing the lottery, except instead of winning money, you win a trip to the emergency room. Raw seafood is particularly risky. Sushi restaurants spend thousands on proper refrigeration and handling because they know one mistake could literally kill someone. But you? You're eating gas station sushi that's been sitting there since the Obama administration and wondering why your stomach feels like it's hosting a UFC fight. The worst part is when people brag about their iron stomachs. I can eat anything, they say, as if having a digestive system that can tolerate food poisoning is some sort of superpower. Newsflash, it's not. It just means you've been lucky so far. So next time you're staring at that questionable leftover, remember that bacteria don't care about your hunger or your laziness. They're patient, they're persistent, and they're just waiting for you to give them the opportunity to turn your intestines into their personal battlefield. Question time. What's the most questionable thing you've ever eaten? And more importantly, did you survive to regret it? Share your food poisoning horror stories. Let's see who among us has the most impressive near-death dining experiences. Number 2, the neck-cracking catastrophe. We need to discuss your neck-cracking addiction. Yes, it's an addiction. Don't even try to deny it. You know that satisfying pop when you twist your head just right? That moment of relief when all the tension melts away? Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're basically one twist away from turning yourself into a medical emergency. You're sitting at your desk, probably hunched over like Quasimodo, after hours of gaming, working, or pretending to work while actually watching YouTube videos about cats. Your neck feels like it's made of concrete, and there's this persistent tension that's driving you absolutely insane. So what do? You grab your head with both hands and twist it like you're trying to open a pickle jar. Crack. Sweet relief. It feels so good that you immediately do it again and again. Before you know it, you're cracking your neck more often than you're blinking. But here's what you don't realize. Every time you crack your neck, you're stretching the ligaments and joints beyond their normal range. You're basically telling your cervical spine, hey, want to see something cool? And then performing what amounts to a mini chiropractic adjustment on yourself. Most of the time, you're just releasing gas bubbles in the synovial fluid, the stuff that lubricates your joints. It's like popping bubble wrap, but inside your neck. Harmless, right? Well, not exactly. Here's where it gets terrifying. Your neck contains some pretty important stuff, like your vertebral arteries, which supply blood to your brain. When you twist your neck aggressively, you can actually damage these blood vessels. And damaged blood vessels can lead to blood clots, which can lead to strokes, which can lead to you becoming a very different person than you were 5 minutes ago. There are documented cases of people having strokes from neck cracking. Young, healthy people who thought they were just relieving tension. 1 minute they're sitting at their desk feeling satisfied with that perfect crack, the next minute they're having a medical emergency. In 2019, a 28-year-old man in Oklahoma cracked his neck and immediately lost the ability to walk. He had torn an artery, which caused a stroke. He spent weeks in the hospital and had to relearn basic functions, all from a simple neck crack. But wait, there's more. Excessive neck cracking can also lead to joint instability. You know how some people can crack their knuckles constantly? Same thing can happen with your neck. You stretch those ligaments so much that they become loose, making your neck less stable and more prone to injury. Some people get so addicted to neck cracking that they do it dozens of times a day. They can't concentrate without that satisfying pop. They've literally trained their bodies to crave the sensation of joint manipulation. It's like being addicted to giving yourself tiny injuries. And here's the really ironic part. Excessive neck cracking can actually cause more tension and stiffness in the long run. You're essentially creating the problem you're trying to solve. Your body starts to rely on the cracking for relief, and when you don't do it, you feel worse than before. The smart move? Gentle stretching, proper ergonomics, maybe see an actual professional if your neck is consistently bothering you. But twisting your head like you're auditioning for The Exorcist, that's just asking for trouble. So tell me, are you a chronic neck cracker? How many times a day do you twist your head for that satisfying pop? And more importantly, have you ever scared yourself with how far you can turn your head? Share your neck cracking confessions. Let's see how many of us are living dangerously with our cervical spines. Number 1, the breath-holding champion. And now for our grand finale, the number 1 way you've almost died without knowing it. Holding your breath for way too long because you saw someone do it in a movie and thought, hey, I could totally do that too. You're watching some action movie where the hero dives underwater to escape the bad guys, and they stay submerged for what feels like forever. Your competitive brain kicks in and thinks, that's nothing. I could hold my breath longer than that. So you take a deep breath and start your own personal underwater endurance challenge, except you're sitting on your couch like a potato. At first, it's easy. You're feeling confident, maybe even a little smug. This is nothing, you think. I'm basically Aquaman. But then your lungs start to burn, your chest feels tight, your vision starts to get a little blurry around the edges, but you're stubborn, so you keep going. Your body starts sending increasingly desperate signals. Your diaphragm is spasming, your heart is racing, and every cell in your body is screaming for oxygen. But you're determined to prove, what exactly? That you can deprive yourself of the most basic requirement for staying alive? Here's what's happening inside your body during your stupid breath-holding contest. Your blood oxygen levels are dropping while carbon dioxide levels are rising. This triggers your body's emergency response system. Your heart rate increases to try to circulate whatever oxygen is left more efficiently. Your brain starts shutting down non-essential functions to preserve oxygen for vital organs. But here's the terrifying part. You can actually hold your breath until you pass out. It's called shallow water blackout or hypoxic blackout, and it's killed more people than you'd think. One minute you're trying to impress yourself with your lung capacity, the next minute you're unconscious. If you're lucky, you'll just faint and start breathing again automatically. But if you're in water, even just a bathtub, you could drown. There have been cases of people passing out from breath-holding challenges and drowning in less than a foot of water. The really scary part is that you can feel fine right up until the moment you don't. Your body has safety mechanisms, but they're not foolproof. You can push past the discomfort, ignore the warning signs, and literally hold your breath until your brain shuts down. This has become a dangerous trend on social media. People are posting videos of themselves holding their breath for extended periods, trying to one-up each other. What they don't realize is that they're essentially competing to see who can get closest to unconsciousness without dying. Free divers spend years training their bodies to handle extended breath holds, and even they sometimes push too far. They train in controlled environments with safety protocols and medical supervision. You're doing it on your couch because you're bored and slightly competitive. The world record for holding your breath is over 24 minutes, but that was done by a trained professional in a controlled environment with pure oxygen beforehand. The average person can hold their breath for about 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Anything beyond that, and you're entering dangerous territory. Your brain needs oxygen to function. When you deprive it of oxygen, you're not just risking fainting, you're risking brain damage. Even if you don't pass out completely, you could be causing microscopic damage that adds up over time. So the next time you're watching an action movie and feeling inspired to test your lung capacity, remember, the actors are probably using movie magic, stunt doubles, or editing tricks. They're not actually holding their breath for 5 minutes while fighting underwater sharks. Don't try to compete with Hollywood special effects using your very real, very mortal respiratory system. So there you have it. 6 completely ordinary ways you've probably almost died without having the slightest clue. From holding in sneezes to cracking your neck to playing breath-holding champion, you've been living on the edge without even realizing it. The crazy part? This is just the tip of the iceberg. Every day you navigate dozens of potential death traps disguised as normal activities. Driving, walking downstairs, taking a shower. Life is basically one long obstacle course designed to test your survival skills. But here's the thing, I'm not telling you this to make you paranoid or afraid to leave your house. I'm telling you this because awareness is power. When you know the risks, you can make better choices. You can sneeze without shame, drink water with attention, stand up slowly, eat properly cooked food, stretch your neck gently, and breathe responsibly. Your body is simultaneously incredibly resilient and surprisingly fragile. It can survive amazing amounts of abuse and recover from things that should probably kill you. But it can also be taken down by the most mundane everyday activities if you're not careful. The human body is basically a miracle wrapped in skin, held together by hopes and dreams and an impressive amount of stubbornness. Treat it with respect, and it'll keep you alive for decades. Treat it like an indestructible machine, and it'll find creative ways to remind you that you're mortal. So next time you catch yourself doing any of these things, remember this video. Remember that you're not invincible, even though you've survived this long. Remember that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is assume that because something is normal, it's safe. And most importantly, remember that staying alive is a skill that requires practice, attention, and a healthy respect for the fact that your body is both your best friend and your most dangerous enemy. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Which of these near-death experiences shocked you the most? Have you had any close calls that made you rethink your daily habits? What other seemingly innocent activities do you think might be more dangerous than they appear? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share your stories, your theories, your own near-death experiences. Let's create a community of people who've almost died in the most ridiculous ways possible and lived to laugh about it. And if this video made you realize that you're basically a walking miracle for surviving this long, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more content about the surprising ways life tries to kill you. And trust me, you're going to want to stay informed about all the creative ways the universe is plotting against you. Stay safe out there, and remember, you're not dead yet, but the day is young. See you in the next video, assuming we all survive that long. Do not forget to subscribe.